Cardinals fans, we're waking up and celebrating a back-to-back win for the first time since 2017. Lisa Matthews here with you, Kyle Odegard, Jody Jackson, Zach Galia. We are here to hash out the Cardinals' 34-33 victory over the Falcons on a Sunday. And guys, it came down to a missed kick, but truly throughout the entire game, it was an offense that was just clicking on all cylinders. The resiliency that they showed once again, and over 400 total yards. So we knew it was going to go back and forth between the two offenses. But Kyle, just what was your immediate reaction following that win?
Yeah, I think that's what we thought would happen. Two great offenses really facing off against two defenses that were struggling. And you're right, the Cardinals offense in particular, the way Kyler Murray was rolling, we have not seen that type of offense in Arizona for quite a while. I mean, you can go back to probably 2015 with Carson Palmer, obviously Kurt Warner before that, but when you're putting a rookie quarterback in his sixth game in the same category as Carson Palmer in a season when he almost won MVP and Kurt Warner when he led him to the Super Bowl, very impressive to me. I think Cardinals fans have to be really excited about this type of game because of what you saw from Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and they're just so creative. The up-tempo offense that they were, it was just, they looked unstoppable at times, getting points off their first 5 possessions. And then obviously there was a late surge comeback from the Falcons to tie it up.
I mean, I think that's a big key, Lisa, is that, everyone knew Matt Ryan was going to get hot at some point, but Kyler got hot first. And they built a lead here that allowed them, even though the defense did falter in that second half, and it did come down to a missed kick. You know what? You're not going to apologize for those things. The breaks really haven't gone the Cardinals' way all that much so far this season. You take those things, the Bird fumble that wasn't, just the way Sherfield's catch, and you just take those. They found a way to get it done. They found a way to finish. Finishing is the one thing that really stood out. And then the red zone woes, at least for this week, seem to be over, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing on like the NFL fantasy football site that 2 of the quarterbacks that were at the top for must starts were both in this game. So it kind of lived up to the billing. Luckily enough, we held on at the end. Shout out to Matt Bryant. Thank you for that. But it was definitely exciting. It's awesome to be here again for second victory Monday in a row.
And we saw a Chandler Jones and Terrell Suggs sack on third down to force them to punt. And then it was David Johnson taking over once again to make it a 34-27 game. Freeman answered back. It was just back and forth. What were you guys thinking during that moment? I was on the sidelines chomping my gum, going crazy, like, what is going to happen here? I just couldn't believe.
I mean, I wasn't watching the extra point. I don't know if you guys were. I was just like, all right, here we go, and I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah.
I felt pretty good about it, and this team, even though this current team hasn't necessarily had that finishing ability, that home, they hadn't played as well at home as on the road, but I kind of felt like it was going to be their day. But it was just, I guess you just take those extra points for granted, even though they did push them back, and they're not really a gimme anymore. But I was like, all right,
I'm superstitious. I don't look at it. I turn my back, but of course the big screen is behind, right in front of me, and I'm just like, miss it, miss it, miss it. I had Jesse next to me. Shout out to Jesse. And we both were just like sweating, miss it, miss it. So the fact that, there were points in this game that finally went the Cardinals' way, that's things that we're usually not used to seeing, with calls and a missed kick at the end. So it was just, very exciting to see back-to-back wins and at home. I mean, Cardinals fans, shout out to you coming out, showing up every single home game and just waiting for that opportunity once again to celebrate a victory in front of the fans.
I love the fact that Cliff Kingsbury said after the game, if we didn't get that final first down and if it was going to be 4th and inches, he was going to go for that. And I think that's a great call because both offenses were moving the ball so well, and the fact that you wanted to put it in the hands of your quarterback in your offensive line and saying, we think we can win this game by getting a foot instead of punting, and then you figure Matt Ryan has the ball with the chance to get a field goal to win it. So it didn't come to that, which is good for the Cardinals, but the aggressiveness, being a first-year head coach with a rookie quarterback, some people will be conservative, but I think Cliff Kingsbury feels really comfortable about where they are offensively.
And even at that point, when you look at it, should he have made that a PAT, then I felt like, there's too much time. Yeah. There's too much time for this offense because you have that confidence and hope in the quarterback, in their play calling, and just what they were able to do throughout the entire game that you felt confident at that point.
Yeah, which is something you don't normally say about a rookie quarterback in his sixth game.
6 games,
2 minutes, plenty of time.
Yeah,
We'll
and
be
doing
fine.
it against Cincinnati the week before,
Yeah.
I mean, you
It's
felt
true.
like he's going to be ready for the moment, and didn't happen.
He's
Matt
had
Bryant
6
changed it.
games and 3 300-yard games in that,
Yeah.
which puts him in some rare company. And so, yeah, you just feel like whether it's with his legs or you're right on that first down to seal the game. I mean, you kind of were worried. I mean, he said he'd be more mindful going forward of where the ball
extend
is,
the ball,
you know, and where that marker is. But he got it done, and that's all that matters. So.
All right, guys, it's time to reveal our Rise and Shine players of the game. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Zach.
I can start.
Okay.
All right, so first of all, shout out to Zane Gonzalez, perfect again.
He's your
I
guy.
want to get that out of the way. But I went with Byron Murphy, and also a small shout out to Matt Bryant. But Byron Murphy, he had the tough task of covering Julio Jones all day. You know, just like Sean and I were talking about before the show, it's when you're playing LeBron, he's going to get his, Julio's going to get his, but I think Byron kind of held him in check as well as he could. He had a couple big hits, a couple big pass breakups. Again, crazy to think he's only 6 games into his NFL career, and future looks bright, especially with P2 coming back.
Absolutely. It's only going to get better from here. And having someone that, I mean, he picked his brain a lot in cards camp, but now that it's real time, game time, to have someone right next to you and practicing every day, it's going to be a huge help for his progression. He's already looked great, so it's exciting, the future.
No
All right,
question.
Jody.
All right, I went with, real shocker here, everybody, Kyler Murray, the superstar. Get the little star there.
Oh, that's what it's for. Okay.
Yeah,
Illustration.
superstar. You know, quarterback rating of 128.2, 27 of 37 for 340 yards, 3 touchdowns. I could go on and on, throw those numbers at you, but you know what? He just threw all over this Atlanta defense. He really did what he wanted to. Cliff Kingsbury called some great plays. It looked like he had them confused. A lot of times I loved like the David Johnson play underneath where 4 guys go out. You've got that space underneath. You're starting to see all of that. And this time, you know, they ran the ball, but they didn't pile up huge yards via the run, and they were still able to, you know, do what they wanted passing the ball. And I loved the other play where he had to kind of spin around and find Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, he's so slippery. And that's something that, again, you know coming in that he has that ability, but he is doing it in the NFL. He's able to do these things that people, you know, questioned if he would. And then in the second half, when they had some adversity, really most of those yards came in the first half, and they didn't come out. You know, Matt Ryan had 2 really long drives. The first possession for the Cardinals didn't go as well, but he kept as calm as he always does.
Yep.
He kept that confidence that we've always seen, Lisa, and he threw that touchdown pass to David Johnson.
Yeah, he has ice in the veins.
Yeah,
That's
he
what the
does.
kids are saying these days. Ice in the veins. All right, another guy who's a beast. My guy, David Johnson, 102 yards from scrimmage, 2 touchdowns. My favorite moment of the game actually was after he scored his first rushing touchdown and he spiked the ball. Like, you could just see the frustration maybe. He's been criticized left and right, and he's still performing week after week. So he's a guy that, again, they went to in the 4th quarter, made a pivotal touchdown catch to take the lead there. So I'm just excited for him, just to see the versatility, how they use him, how they utilize him, and he just looks at his best right now. I'm going to say that. Hot take, at his best.
I mean, the criticism to me, I mean, I think he had 150 yards
Yeah.
last week. I mean,
It's
I don't know, you know, whatever we saw in 2016, he was also returning kicks in 2016. I mean, it was just a different time. I mean, I'm not really comparing him to what we saw then. I just want to see him produce, and he's doing
There's
it.
high expectations, and I get that. And when you perform the way that he has, of course, there's going to be those high expectations. But just to see him still go out there, be utilized in both the receiving game too, and the run game is just, he's all over the place. So he's definitely someone to count on. And knowing that he did that on possibly still a bad back and coming off the game where he was in rehabbing all week, and he's just unbelievable.
I think we really take for granted his receiving ability, where if that ball's in the vicinity of David
hands.
Johnson,
Yeah.
he's catching it. And as a running back, like, he's got better hands than most receivers in the
yeah.
NFL. I think it's amazing what he does consistently, like you said, in the air game. Another guy that contributed in the air game,
Oh yeah.
Max Williams, had
Love
the important touchdown catch. And beyond that, I mean, he came in to this season, we weren't sure if he was going to make the team. He was kind of a late addition in the offseason, and he really moved up the depth chart a lot. And Cliff Kingsbury has an offense where if he wants to just use 4 wide receivers and a running back, he can, because that's in his bag. But I think Max Williams has really shown that he deserves to be on the field, and the fact that he can catch the ball, and then when you're running it, he's a much bigger blocker than any receiver besides maybe Fitz. But he's important in both aspects of the game. I think he's been a big key for this team, and not knowing going into camp that he would be that guy, but really nice game for him, and impressive overall what he's brought to this team.
I like to call that play the slow cooker. Like you saw it all like break down, and he's alone on the left, and he gets the ball and it's like, run for it. I mean, even Larry Fitzgerald was joking about that, but
he said he looked like his dad running.
We all were just like, run, but he
can't let him enjoy the touchdown.
No, and then Fitz, of course, has to physically bring him down, tackle him down after that in celebration. But yeah, it's great to see it. Also, how this offense has evolved in the usage of tight ends in this offense. So great pick. I like that. All right, now it's time to look sunny side up, just the bright spots of this game that can help move them forward, hopefully get a victory in New York next week to make it 3 straight. So what can they just build off this sunny side up, bright side?
The biggest thing to me is no sacks given up by the offensive line. It's kind of been trending better and better each week. 5 in the first week, 3 in the week 2, 8, 4, 1 last week, and nothing this week. So, I don't think Atlanta's pass rush is quite tops in the league, but it's definitely not in the bottom of the league either. So I think that's a big bright spot, and definitely something to keep building off of, because you can keep Kyler clean, you can see what he does.
Absolutely, and the big man loved that shout out. I know that they appreciate that. Jody,
I think sacks, limiting sacks is huge, and then turnovers in general. I mean, for a rookie quarterback, the fact that Kyler, he didn't have a pick yesterday again, he really has done a good job of protecting the ball, even when he's running it, things like that. And those things are going to happen maybe during the season, but he's limited them so far. So I think a lot of positives. Taking care of the ball is always going to be right up there, and he's been doing it so far, the entire offense in general. And I think that's obviously one of those bright spots. There's so many on offense. I think the defense, though, has been much maligned, and maybe for good reason, but given what they have right now, I think Vance Joseph's actually done a pretty good job. I think they've done enough to keep this team in it. Again, not what you want to see 2 weeks in a row in the second half, where you see the other team make some adjustments. But I think with Pat P going forward, this defense can be what they need to go ahead and stack some more wins in the second half of the season.
Yeah, definitely a bright spot. Patrick Peterson is, I don't know if he's back in the building right now, but he tweeted right after the game.
Immediately after the game was over.
Back to work. I never saw someone so happy to come to work on a Monday. But that's definitely a bright spot, just building off of, like you said, just a young secondary, and just to have his leadership there. And we can talk at length about the problem with the tight ends, and truly just his presence. He won't be covering tight ends, obviously, one-on-one, but just his presence alone will allow Vance Joseph to drop them to be man coverage and be able to utilize the players, maybe put Byron Murphy in the slot and where he's his natural position. So it's just going to help the flow of the defense even more. So, I mean, they've been able to, withstand 6 weeks, but I'm expecting to see, he told me in training camp, week 7, he's going to get a pick. The Cardinals haven't had an interception all year, so we're waiting for that, Pappy.
That would be great.
And you just don't need a safety over the top of Patrick Peterson. And I think that's, like you're saying, it's a big help for the other 10 guys, because you don't have to worry about whoever Patrick Peterson is guarding, and you can bring a safety up or do more help for the other cornerback. I think that's going to be huge. My sunny side up from this game is Cliff Kingsbury and the way he's got everything rolling offensively. I think we've seen some really impressive play calls, play designs. There were a lot of critics of Cliff Kingsbury when he was hired by the Cardinals, saying he was under 500 as a college coach, and obviously he was. That's the proof, and right now he's under 500 as an NFL coach, but the offense has gotten so much better from a year ago. I mean, there's life in that offense. Your quarterback looks super comfortable, and I think Cliff Kingsbury is a big part of that. So you have to be pretty impressed by what he's done through the first 6 games.
Yeah, and it's important to see how he's just how this fits in the NFL, and how he's been able to, what's the word? Give me the words, guys. It's the morning. Evolve. Yes, evolve. I'm like, is that the evolve? Adjust. Evolve into the NFL game, and just his play calling. And even just Fitz was saying he in the huddle, and he could hear the defense breathing hard because the tempo that they're playing at, he could just sense that, okay, we're playing at a speed that they're not used to, and so this is something that we can bring each and every week to get them off.
And a lot of coaches kind of are rigid, you know, they don't want to change, and Kingsbury is still doing a lot of what he wants to do with just some tweaks, and so I think that's impressive. You know, he's also young, maybe that's a little more open-minded, but you've seen throughout the NFL, you see sometimes it's so blatant where you can say, well, why aren't they evolving? Your word there, Lisa,
you got to dance though.
Evolving. Speaking of dance, again, Corey Peters.
Oh my God.
Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. All right, so yeah, I like that, you know, he's not rigid in what he's trying to do. He is open to things, and I think that's really served this team well. I mean, you could say that's a no-brainer, but it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
I loved Corey Peters' dance. I love it. He said, you know, he's the type of guy that's not really showy, but he's having so much fun this year. He said playing that now he just wants to dance after every big play, every sack.
Did Gunter dance too, or just
he did like a walk, stare down, like
he
a
went
point.
more like
Vogue.
I look forward to him maybe coming out a little more with the dance.
Yeah. I mean,
But
no one
no
can
pressure,
top
Rodney.
the slow motion of Peter. I was just like, wow, get it. All right, let's bring home the bacon here. Now the Cardinals, back-to-back wins, like we said, first time since 2017. On the road this week in New York, have a chance to make that 3 in a row, and that would be the first time since 2015. So huge opportunity, and guess what? They're only a half a game behind the Rams. So that's kind of
exciting
to say, right?
Not bad.
Not bad? All right, guys.
Yeah, I think when you look at the trajectory of this team, I think everybody is pretty excited about where they're going, and now it was always about the future, and I think when you start talking about 2020 and 2021, having this quarterback, especially on a cheap rookie contract where you can put a lot of players around him, you start looking forward. I think there's a lot of promise, but now you're even talking about 2019 where this team is 2-3-1. If you can go to New York and get a win against a team that isn't that great, then you're back to 500 almost halfway through the season, and it's like, wow, this team is surpassing expectations. So a big game for me. Big fly in the face, and having Patrick back, seeing what can happen defensively, because they struggled obviously against the Falcons, but how much will that help everybody else?
Start stacking wins.
My bring home the bacon is bring back that W from the Big Apple. Bring it back, and then keep it rolling.
And fun fact, shout out to Mike Helm. Just four turnovers in 6 games, tied for the franchise fewest in franchise history through 6 games.
Wow. Helm coming in hot.
Good stat. Take care of that ball.
Yes. All right, time to stack some wins. Like stacking some bacon.
Pancakes. Not a short stack. Get the big stack.
That guy should probably get his motorcycle fixed.
Next up, guys, a game in New York. We will see you next week. Thanks for joining us on this Victory Monday.